Hello and welcome to my YouTube video. In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to make tidy cables. This is in conjunction with a pillow tutorial that I have on Ravelry. In fact, it's going to go up today. This is February 16th, I think. Let's see. Yep, February 16th, 2022. So this will be going up on Ravelry today, but this video is in conjunction with that. This is the central cable pattern, and this is in two colors. So there's going to be an option to do the color work cables, which I'll talk about briefly in this video as well. So when we take a look at cables, we have what I call tidy and not so tidy. Up here, I call these tidy cables. Let's look at them real close. We can see this is a 4-stitch 2/2 left cross. We can see that all 4 stitches are the same size going across the cable. Here's the background stitches in reverse stockinette, and again all 4 of these stitches are the same size going across the cable. Let's turn it over and look at the other side. These are the 3 reverse stockinette stitches, and they're all the same size also. In fact, if we pull them apart, they're all about the same size. Now down here, the not so tidy, this is what you will see, and if you don't know what to look for, you may not recognize it, but once you see it, unfortunately, you can't unsee it. So we see down here in our reverse stockinette, this part over here looks really nice. Here we see enlarged purl stitches. In fact, we can take our needle, and these are called ladders. If we turn this over, those ladders are this 3rd column here. And do you see those enlarged stitches? And if we pull it apart, we can see they're really, really big. This also affects the 4th stitch or the leftmost stitch. It's always the leftmost. You can see how it's enlarged compared to the other stitches. So look at what this does to the swatch overall. Can you see how the width down here is different than the width up here? So I'm going to show you how to make tidy transitions between the cables and the reverse stockinette stitch. That's what this video is about. But I want you to see that once you achieve this goal, it is going to change your stitch gauge. But it looks so much nicer. Do you see how all of these reverse stockinette stitches here are the same size? They look good. Whereas when we pull these apart, do you see how we have those enlarged stitches in there? So how do we do this? How do we avoid those enlarged stitches? And I'd like you to take a look at your personal knitting and see if you see those in your knitting. This is the same little, it's 17 stitches, same little setup for this swatch. So when I'm going to do it both Continental and throwing, okay? So when I'm working Continental, I'm going to work these 3 reverse stockinette stitches. Let me get my focus a little bit better here. Okay, now we're going to work the stockinette stitches. So when we change from a purl to a knit, it's no big deal. You don't have to do anything special. And notice I'm also working on the tips of my needles. When I get to the 4th stitch and I need to change to a purl, I bring the yarn forward. Now this is where the problem happens, because when you bring the yarn forward, extra yarn gets thrown in there between the knit and the purl. So I put my right needle into the purl, and then watch this stitch right here. Watch this. Did you see it move? Let's do it again. Let me get up closer. I want you to see that. Watch this stitch right here. I put my right needle in here, then I pull. Do you see how it pulled on that? It moved. Now you don't want to pull so hard that it moves this stitch too. That's too much pulling. And you only need to do that when you're changing from a knit to a purl. From a knit to a purl only. On the return row, I'll show you throwing. You need to do it on the return row as well. So when you bring the yarn forward, You put the left needle in, the right needle into the stitch on the left needle, and you tug a little bit, just a little bit. And then I'm going to work to the end of the row. I got this stitch on reverse here. Okay, so now I'm going to do it Continental. And then we'll do a crossing row. And I'll show you how I cross the stitches. At the end of the video, I'll put a link up in this corner on how I do cable crossings without a cable needle. And over here at the end of the video, I'll put a link to working ribbing this way as well, getting tidy ribbing. And I go into much more detail on that video on why this happens and how to correct it. So we're doing our knits. Everything's good. Now we're going to change to a purl. We have to bring the yarn forward. And when we put our needle in here to purl, do you see how far that yarn is going? It's going from back here around the needle and all the way up here. And that's why you get that enlarged stitch after the knit. So in order to avoid that, you have to pull, move that stitch again like we did before. Keep this tight. Then you can have normal tension. You only do this when you're changing from a knit to a purl only. It's not changing how tight the stitches are on your needle. It's just sucking up that extra yarn in the transition between the knit and the purl. We're going to do it again here. So the first thing, bring the yarn forward, put the right needle into the stitch on the left, then tug the yarn. You don't have to tug it real hard, just a little bit, and you can practice this. It does take practice. It does take practice. Now, let's do a cable crossing row. Okay, so we're going to do first Continental. And we're going to do a left cable cross. Those are the ones that are most likely to get the enlarged stitches. So I'm doing my reverse stockinette. Now, there's two ways that you can do the cable crossing without a cable needle. I highly recommend that you try these. I'm just going to show one. I highly recommend it. You may be against this, but if you try it and practice it, you will never look back. I guarantee it. So I want these two stitches to go to the left. So this is a 2/2 left cable cross. So I'm going to slide them to the right needle. I'm going to knit these two stitches. I'm going to slide those first two back over to the left needle, and I'm going to knit them, working on the tips of the needle so I don't stretch out that last stitch. That's key. Now let's do it throwing, same thing. And remember, there's two different ways to do these cables without a cable needle, and I'm going to show you the second way here. That was the first way. The second way is to reach behind and grab the stitch 3 and 4, pull the left needle out of all 4, put it back in 1 and 2, put these back on your needle, and then knit across. Again, do you see that I have the stitches on the tip of the left needle? I'm not forcing the right needle all the way through until after the stitch is on the needle, then I push it up to the barrel. But this keeps me from getting enlarged stitches in my knits. Now I've got to make that nice transition. I'm going to tug and work the last 2 stitches. Now let's talk about the color work, doing cables in color. I'll put a video link down here at the end that goes to working the cables in color. I think this is so interesting because when you work cables in color, do you see how much relief this is, the 3D relief? It's just amazing. And you find out that those cables really don't take up much space. You can see the background fabric, there's like 1 stitch width there, but there's 4 stitches here. This is upside down. Nope. Yep, it goes this way. Under the camera here, I get disoriented. Okay, this is right side up. Here's my bind off. So there's 4 stitches wide here, but if we look at that same spot on the back, it's wide enough for 1 stitch. So this is in this pillow, and in the previous one called Colam, I talk a lot about stitch equivalency for cable flare compensation. So when you work these cables, again, you don't want those ladders over here on the edge of the cable. And believe me, it's easy to get them. Do you see how uniform my stitches are? This is because when I move this yarn over here to this stitch, actually going this way from here to here, I bring it snugly across behind the stitch. And look at the back of your work every once in a while and make sure that you're having your stitches all the same size, because that'll be the clue whether you're going to have ladders on the front. So if you find my videos informational and you enjoy watching them, please give me a thumbs up there down at the bottom. Share with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed already, maybe take a chance on me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take care, happy knitting, and I'm glad you had a chance to take a look at this. Bye-bye.